Alright, we are finally into CLG versus Dignitas, the headline game of the evening. After several solid games early on in the day. Already bans heading out here for Twisted Fate, Singed, and Gragas. Kinda surprised they'd ban out Gragas. But that's definitely a respect ban towards Scarra, though he still has a bunch of options open. And I'm kinda surprised we have not seen a Nidalee ban yet, as both teams do enjoy running Nidalee. Though she hasn't been picked up as much as of late, as they've kind of found counters to her and ways to really deal with her, though it is one of HotShot's signature champions, and it looks like a Vayne will be banned out. Really trying to limit Doublelift on his hyper carry, so he'll likely have to go with something like a Kog'Maw to really just give him that late game power that CLG really relies upon. Kale banned out, another champion they don't want to see played on the side of Dignitas. Last ban here for Dignitas, and it looks like it is a Renekton really not wanting to play against him. Every team seems to hate on Renekton at the moment. He just does so much damage and is really tanky. Just a pain in the rear to deal with, and it looks like it will be a Nasus. Could be a top lane Nasus, could be a jungle Nasus. We aren't sure yet, but we shall see as the draft moves forward. But this gives Dignitas a chance to pick up some key champions. They have Dianna in the pool, which we've seen Scarra use several times this tournament already. Could pick up an early Dianna, as Patoy's done a real great job on that kind of support AP Dianna. But I think they will play it fairly safe, pick up an AD carry, and likely a jungler. And it looks like it will be Caitlyn. Don't think they're actually going to go with Fizz. Fizz just too niche a pick for something like this. But the Caitlyn's a solid choice. And it will be Elise who is still left in the pool. Really strong split pusher at the top lane. Pain in the rear to deal with throughout the entire laning phase. And just does a great job of isolating targets on the back line. CLG likely to pick up Zed and the support here. Sona would be an excellent choice, gives them some both engage and disengage. And it will actually be Ezreal along with Lulu, a solid lineup there. Great early game potential, and they're strong throughout the entire game. Lulu and Ezreal never have any real points where they're weak, even though they never have any points where they're the strongest in the game. They're just solid all around, well-versed champions. And something CLG will need to do very well is control the early and mid game, so that they can actually get Ezreal farmed up enough to go late and allow Doublelift to just do what he does best and just dominate team fights and carry the game. They're also going to have a lot of power with Nasus, as he is going to be able to wither Caitlyn and just do a lot of damage with that wither. And there's the Dianna pick up by Dignitas, and it looks like we will have a Volibear in the jungle. Really looking to get on that back line and get the ball rolling, as Volibear just has such dominating ganks in the early game. And really does a great job of controlling the map just by applying pressure. He can run in from a long distance away and fling people back. And people really just hate dealing with him. And this Dianna pick means that Ezreal isn't safe, because Dianna could easily rush down on top of him and deal massive amounts of damage. She doesn't have to worry about the wither, as a lot of her damage is spell-based. CLG right now need to pick up either a jungler and top or top laner, and an AP mid, and it looks like we'll be Malphite, and looking at Orianna would be a great setup. And it looks like we will have Nasus in the jungle, Malphite up top, and I'm liking this combo coming out from CLG. They have great burst damage, and they could follow it up with a really tanky Nasus, so it's going to be able to just dominate that back line. Make sure Dignitas can't jump in there and deal tons of damage. Dignitas need a support here. Something like a Sona would be a great choice. They can go with that kind of mixed AP support Dianna, which they've used so well in the past. And I think that'd be an excellent choice here. So give them a disengage against Malphite. It would allow them to slow and just kite Nasus around. And this shield is just really useful overall. I think the fight reset would be the best part of that. And it looks like a Rumble. Okay. Was not expecting a Rumble, so that looks like that would be an Elise support, Rumble up top, Volibear in the jungle, Dianna in the mid lane, and Caitlyn down bottom. Oh, I was not expecting that. I think that's going to throw CLG through a bit of a loop. Elise has been used in the support role fairly often, just due to the fact that she has a lot of basically free damage. She has a nice stun. She can jump to the back line fairly effectively. She doesn't have those big support skills other than the stun, but she does bring good damage. She'll have great poke in the early game. And it should work out fairly well for Dignitas, but we shall see. It's not someone like Lulu who has that big team fight abilities. But I think they wanted Rumble for the team fights, just to give him that big ultimate that'll just do massive damage in these fights and make it virtually impossible for CLG to really engage without taking a lot of time to run around the ultimate. And it's going to basically mean Ezreal's going to have to either go in or go out. He can't kind of sit in that mid-range where you can do both and kind of juke around. You're going to have to really either commit to the fight or stay far back and not get your full damage off. Especially if Rumble lands a good ultimate. And that's really why teams have favored Rumble, as he can actually get to the back line from a fair distance away. He has great engage with that ultimate, as it does slow. And he really dominates most lanes. He can even survive in the 2v1 lanes fairly well, assuming that Dignitas wants to do so. I don't know if they really do. It's going to be fairly even lanes, but I think they will, just due to the fact you get so much of an advantage on the red side actually going for the 2v1 lanes. You get a lot of extra jungle creeps. You can pick up that early tower gold, and you can kill that top tower, which will really set back Malphite, who needs an item or two to really be effective. Malphite has decided to go with teleport, so he will be able to move around the map, and it looks like Dignitas is setting up for fairly standard lanes, but we shall see, as Caitlyn is down bottom laying the few early traps, Elise using her spider link to scout it out. And that's one advantage of the Elise pickup, is skill shots have really hard time actually hitting her, as those little minions soak up a lot of damage. But right now both teams are going to be playing fairly defensively. Rumble versus Malphite up top is a pretty easy lane for Rumble. He can just shield up basically all the harassment Malphite can throw out after about level 2 or 3. And it looks like we are going to just have the fairly standard lanes. Kind of glad to actually see the 2v2 down bottom, as we've seen so many of the 2v1s, and it's been interesting, but it's kind of, I've had enough of it. Let's see something a little different coming out from these teams. Caitlyn, interestingly enough, is starting with the red potion and a bunch of health pots, while Ezreal has opted for the Duran's Blade. An interesting choice, and we're going to see if Ezreal can make it work for him, because it's going to be hard not having those potions, not having a heal in Lulu. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to just sit back and actually push the wave like he wants to. Though I definitely think CLG was expecting the 2v1 lane down bottom, but they won't be getting it. Though they are able to pick up the double golems down bottom, so they're going to have a small advantage in that lane. And I think CLG is also a little surprised Dignitas doesn't do their fairly patented 2v1 in the mid, as Orianna has gone for a fairly regen heavy build with the flask. It looks like Lulu is going to be going forward, applying a bit of harassment, but Caitlyn is able to use her potions to heal up, while Ezreal takes a lot of damage and won't be able to heal that up very effectively, as he only has that Duran's Blade. In the mid lane, Orianna is doing a lot of damage to Dianna, but Dianna has enough potions that she'll be able to survive. And this is the real big thing Dignitas has them more, is they have the control on the lanes that they want. They have bottom lane in a decent shape, though they are down a bit in experience, as Caitlyn is just now hitting level 2, while Elise has not done so. Up top they have a bit of an advantage, as Rumble should easily bully around Malphite, and that shows in the CS numbers. And down bottom they should have a pretty easy time, assuming they can get enough harassment on Ezreal to really force him back. But so far they have not been able to do so. They really need that level 2 on Elise to get that second ability, as that just applies so much harassment around the map. Nasus and Volibear are just going to continue to farm the entire map. There's no reason for them to gank yet, but all of these lanes are very safe. They realize most people started with wards and a bunch of potions, so it's really going to be a hard time ganking. Rumble has hit level 3 fairly early and is really shutting down this Malphite up top. There's a big minion wave though, And it looks like Volibear will be coming in from the side. There is a ward here from CLG, so they will be seeing Volibear the second he comes in lane. And it looks like he's just going to retreat. In the mid lane, Dianna's doing a good job of applying pressure to Orianna, as she's really winning the farm war just by picking up a few extra minions. Though down bottom, Ezreal is up a bit on Caitlyn, and that shield is so powerful. It looks like we are going to have Link engage here onto Scarra. Scarra taking a lot of damage, but I don't think he's going to go down. He is going to be forced to use a lot of potions, and that's a pretty big win here for Orianna. She will be able to farm fairly effectively. And it looks like we are just going to have a farm fest up top. Even though Rumble is going to win it fairly heavily, it means Malphite gets a fair bit of farm himself, as he is just playing it very safe until his shield's up, not even bothering the last hit until that happens. And it looks like we are going to have Volibear just running into the mid lane, as Orianna has decided to back up, picking up boots and the Duran's ring. Ezreal wisely backing up and picking up a bit of health from the golems, as you can just auto attack those a few times before he takes any damage. Lulu has decided to back up first, as she's picked up that rejuvenation bead in addition to a few extra wards. Volibear going to come down bottom. He don't believe he was spotted out. There was a ward in the river, but he might have been. It's questionable depending upon when exactly they placed that ward, as it has not been there the full time, and it looks like he will actually be spotted, as Ezreal takes a lot of damage down bottom, as Caitlyn lands a nice peacemaker after the stun from Elise. Volibear's just going to sit here in this bottom lane and wait for the Nasus gank. CLG is going to have to throw a gank in this bottom lane so Ezreal can go back to base without losing too many minions, or possibly even losing this tower. The question is, will he be able to get into a good position to actually get the gank off? And I think that's what they're trying to bait here. Though Orianna is going to come down bottom as well, which is going to be very difficult for Dignitas to win this fight if Orianna actually does come down. Though she will be spotted out by Volibear if she does actually come down here. And it will be a glitter lance onto Elise, as Elise runs into a bit of trouble. Volibear doing a good job of just applying pressure and keeping Orianna out, as Orianna does get a nice ball off. Wither used on Elise, and she will go down for first blood. A beautiful play there by CLG, as we do have Nasus getting fairly low and is taken out. Double kill here by KiWiKid, and it looks like Ezreal's in a lot of trouble. Will he be able to arcane shift away? He does flash. Volibear getting the slow off onto Lulu. Lulu taking a lot of damage and will likely go down, as he is flipped almost with a peacemaker by Caitlyn. But a big win there by Dignitas, picking up 3 kills and a lot of map control, as Ezreal will be forced back. And in the meantime, we have Scarra just sitting in the mid lane, dealing a massive amount of damage to this middle tower. And there is just nothing CLG can do about it. They played really greedy with that fight, and Dignitas got a bit lucky that they overextended themselves to pick up first blood. And Caitlyn has evened out the CS. She's picked up a big item on her first back, as she's picked up the BF sword, so she's going to be able to harass Ezreal down, as Ezreal won the heavy lifesteal early game. A big problem here is, look at Dianna CS. She's sitting at 59 compared to 40 on Orianna. Though Orianna did pick up an assist, it's not going to be enough, and Orianna's not going to have her blue buff. There's no way Scarra is going to give this up. And with that blue buff, it means Volibear can grab his own and get that extra bit of cooldown reduction. And means there's going to be a gank up top, it looks like. Dianna and Rumble are going to rotate up, but no, Dianna decides to rotate down to the mid lane. I figured they'd try and rotate up top and pick off Malphite before he gets too tanky, as he is really a pain in the rear to actually kill. And I'm kind of surprised Caitlyn's playing this aggressively onto Ezreal, considering she doesn't have sustain while Ezreal does in that bottom lane. And it looks like CLG will not be able to rotate around and pick up the blue buff. Crumbz is just going to grab it for himself, and it's going to be a real nice time for him. That blue buff is such a good item or such a good thing on Volibear early. Just the cooldown reduction alone means you can get a bit of extra damage in team fights, you can chase better, and you have more slowing power. At least with a beautiful stun on Ezreal, as he gets very low and is taken out, thanks to a nice jump in there by Patoy. And this is what the power of Elise. It turns it into a kill lane, especially with Caitlyn's early game damage. And Ezreal was at 90% health when that fight started. Just a stun, trap, peacemaker, and he was dead. There's just nothing he can do. Rumble throws his ultimate down up top, and he's going to be backing. He's way ahead of Malphite in terms of farm. And Malphite has already backed up. We haven't seen the teleport used by him. I'm surprised he didn't teleport into that fight down bottom and try and turn it around. And it looks like the first tower of the game will be claimed by Dignitas in the bottom lane. 3,000 gold lead for them as they are up by 3 kills. And it looks like we are going to have Dianna jumping in the middle. Nice ultimate there by Link, but he is going to be taken out thanks to Volibear coming in from the rear. And second tower of the game going to be taken by Dignitas. Excellent play by Dignitas all around. And they've just been on the game this entire LCS. They've looked really solid. And along with Curse, they have just been absolutely dominant this entire LCS. And it's going to be hard to stop them, as they're really on point. They're really well coordinated. And they do a few things differently from other teams that kind of set them apart. Especially that 2v1 lane swap into the mid lane. Up top, we are going to have Rumble doing a bit of damage to Malphite, but Malphite is perfectly safe with that Chalice, Boots, and the Flask. CLG, one of the few teams to actually pick up the Crystalline Flask on any of their champions, as it's really a decent item, but it's more of a, we're going to play the laning phase for a long time item. Not this, we're going to rotate around the map, find kills, which most teams like to do, and take objectives. It's really just, we're going to lane for as long as we can kind of item, as it doesn't really help you that much in team fights. It's a fairly high gold sink. Volibear looking to come down here for a gank down bottom, but I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to do so, as Caitlyn's going to back up, likely go for the Infinity Edge. And it looks like we are going to have Elise rotating around up top. She does have a few decent items, and so she will be able to hold this lane and grab some farm for herself. And Patoy has done a great job this last few weeks of actually picking up farm on a support. And Elise is doing a lot of damage to Malphite. And Malphite, even though he's up 3 levels, can't actually fight Elise. Elise just does too much damage and take him down to half health with a bit of harassment. And Elise is still near full. Absolutely dominating performance here by Patoy, and it looks like we are going to have a lane swap as Dignitas wants to take this top tower, and I think CLG is going to be forced to respawn, but Ezreal is still in lane down bottom, and I don't think Lulu and Malphite can really stop this Elise and Caitlyn. They're really strong at this point. Caitlyn has finished off a Bloodthirster. Dianna finishing off a very early Zhonya's Hourglass. I'm surprised she actually finished it, and it looks like Volibear is going to come on for a gank here on Ezreal. As soon as Ezreal goes up to hit that minion wave, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. Rumble just sitting very far back, doing a great job of baiting it in there. Ezreal's almost out of mana. 1 or 2 more Mystic shots, and he is out. And it looks like Volibear is going to rotate around, but he is going to be spotted out here by Lulu, and he will have enough to arcane shift away, but no, he shifts right in time, right after the fling. Rumble jumping forward, but missing the harpoons. So we are going to have another gank up top. After it looks like we are going to have Nasus taken down very quickly by Scarra. Malphite in a lot of trouble as he's picked up. Dianna going to be continuing the chase as he does jump in, but Malphite will use his ultimate and flash to get away. So this will mean a free tower for Dignitas after taking down Nasus, and CLG just in a world of trouble, not really having an opportunity here to really recover. And this is Dignitas playing the game they want to play, really controlling the map. And there's just not been an opportunity for CLG to make anything happen. They tried early game with that 1 gank, but it got turned around. And they're not finding anything here, as Ezreal is basically going to get zoned out wherever he goes. Looks like Caitlyn's going to be in a bit of trouble here, but Elise and Dianna are in the area. Malphite taking a lot of damage as he does get stunned up, and a bit of damage as Dianna does jump in there for a lot of damage with that sweep. And it looks like Ezreal is going to be forced to pop the barrier. His ultimate does fly, but it is Zhonya's Hourglass. Elise does try to pick it up at the back end. Dianna getting very low, but does jump over the wall. Caitlyn in a lot of trouble, but there is another stun by Elise. And it looks like Volibear is here trying to clean things up, but there is Orianna in the backside, being perfectly safe as he does fling Malphite the wrong way and gets the chop off, but it does actually go down thanks to a lightning proc from his ultimate. Volibear living with just the passive, and this whole time Rumble down bottom, pushing the turret. Absolutely big win here by Dignitas, staying alive in that 4v5 fight. All their champions very low. Well, KiWiKid does the nice and safe job of pushing this bottom lane. I don't think he's going to have any real complaints about it, as he's just had a great time this entire game. Malphite hasn't been able to harass him at all. He's been getting basically free farm in lane, and has been allowed to just push He hasn't been involved in any ganks, but he doesn't need to be. The rest of his team is rotating around the map winning, and if he's basically prevented Malphite from using his teleport at all this game, he would have been much better off with another summoner spell to at least try and apply some pressure to Rumble or somewhere else on the map. Looks like Volibear is going to try and pick up the red buff, but he won't be there in time as Ezreal and Nasus have finished it off. Though he will see Nasus rotating over, thanks to a very deep ward and another deep ward placed by Patoy. Dignitas really wants to get something going with these ganks, and I think they'll have the opportunity to do so in a few moments. As it looks like we are going to have Scarra just continuing to split push up top. I don't think Scarra could actually kill Malphite at this point. Malphite just a little too elusive for him, but he can send him back to base at every opportunity. Dragon's going to be up in about 1 minute's time as Elise rotates down bottom, looking to stop this push here by Doublelift. And it looks like Caitlyn's in a bit of trouble, but she is able to just net away with the Peacemaker right on top of it for some absolutely massive damage on this Nasus. Nasus not getting the farm or items he really needs. He has picked up 1 kill, the only kill his team's picked up this entire game. So he does have that going for him, but he's just not able to find the level of farm the rest of the team has found. And he really needs that 1 or 2 early items to just stay alive and really get tanky. But after that, the items don't matter as much. It's just getting enough to survive in a fight, and he isn't going to be able to at this point. He really needs that second level of ultimate and another item to make himself strong enough to get in these fights and do all the damage he needs. Dianna is down here and will be able to jump in onto Ezreal for a lot of damage. Ezreal going to be able to jump away and miss by Scarra. Just a little bit off. But throughout all of this, we are going to have Volibear picking up Dragon. And there is just nothing going CLG's way. Dignitas snowballing this out to an absolutely massive lead. Caitlyn just so elusive and so hard to take down in this early game, and that's why teams have really favored her. Nasus does spot out Dignitas doing Dragon, but he's not able to do a whole lot. Volibear wants to come in for a fight, and we'll get a nice ultimate off. There's a dead Nasus, not even getting the opportunity to pop his ultimate. Elise zoning out Orianna as Malphite's in a world of trouble, and he's going to go down. As Scarra picks up yet another kill. Rumble ultimate beautifully placed means that there's no escape for CLG as we see Orianna picked up and flung back for a massive amount of damage as Elise finishes her off. Dignitas going to be able to snowball, likely an inhibitor here because Orianna's the only real hope for CLG at this point. Ezreal doesn't have the damage he needs. He really needs that next level of items to be able to contend. And it looks like he will be going for a Trinity Force or at least a Phage next, but he's not going to get it in time as Caitlyn should be able to pick up a big item after this. With that net and Peacemaker, Nasus has taken down a good bit of health. He just isn't able to contend with the poke Caitlyn's bringing, and the Wither doesn't matter that much to Caitlyn at this point in the game, as she really is about that one big burst auto attack from her headshot and the Peacemaker. The auto attacks will come later once she picks up another item or two. But unlike most other carries, she can jump away. That's her big advantage. She has a nice jump away, she has a nice slow, and the traps are really hard to get around without wasting a significant amount of time. Rumble up top versus Malphite is definitely in Rumble's favor. He's picked up the Leandries and is going to be able to just bully Malphite around. I'm not sure what he can really do in this lane to make it matter, as Rumble's going to rotate down and try and steal this blue buff, as Link has not been able to pick up a blue buff this entire game. And it looks like he will actually be able to get it, which will really help CLG at this point. CLG just needs something going their way, and that's something. It'll allow them to stall the game out for a little bit longer, as Orianna does have fairly good wave clear. Looks like Caitlyn will be going for a Phantom Dancer. I like the decision. She needs that attack speed. She needs the extra crit. And then she can build it into an Infinity Edge later and just deal ridiculous amounts of damage. Runic Bulwark has been completed by Volibear, who is likely to be picking up either the Shirley's Reverie or something like the Lock of the On Solari. And it looks like we are going to have Dianna just continuing to split push down bottom, as the rest of Dignitas rotates around, looking for that next kill that can set them up for the inhibitor. And I'm not sure if we're going to actually find it, but Caitlyn is down here, is going to apply a good bit of damage, but no, she decides to go for the minion wave with those massive headshot crits. And we have 5 members of CLG down here, and this is going to be their opportunity to make something happen. This looks like Malphite, it does have the ball on him, is going to try and go in, but instead backs up, just doing a bit of harassment on the Volibear. No big threat of a fight, as Dignitas really can't take a fight very deep at this point. I wouldn't want to fight under a tower. It's just a little too early. They don't have someone tanky enough to really soak the tower shots. And it looks like Rumble's just going to split push this mid lane with Scarra waiting for the rotation. And without Ezreal down bottom, this is a free tower by Dignitas. Excellent play there just to take CLG off, as we do see Patoy getting a nice stun on Malphite, which means even more damage to this tower by Caitlyn. And a Peacemaker right across Nasus yet again, taking him down easy 15 to 20% of his health. And there is just nothing CLG can do. They're down 10,000 gold now. Red buff has just been stolen by Caitlyn. And this is just an absolute domination by Dignitas. They've really snowballed this game, and there's really CLG just kind of made a few mistakes. And it looks like we are going to have a beautiful stun out there by Elise, and Ezreal just gets blown to bits. Excellent coordination there by Dignitas. And this is going to be an inhibitor very soon, as Caitlyn's going to rotate around. Volibear in a bit of trouble, as he takes a lot of damage from both the tower and CLG. But he is tanky enough to survive at the moment without Ezreal there. And Ezreal needs that next item. It's really hurting him to have kind of parts of things, especially parts that give you health or mana, because they don't give you damage, and he really needs damage. He can't afford to pick up anything for survivability at this point. He needs to finish off that Sheen and Zeal before actually even getting the Phage, because if he gets damage, he'll be okay. Looks like we are going to have Nasus trying to go in here to Volibear, but there is Elise with another beautiful stun from long range, which means Volibear will be perfectly safe. Now, this is CLG's opportunity to pick up a tower. Rumble is up top. Dianna and Elise are off to the side. Caitlyn's down bottom, and she's just going to continue to split push. She is likely to get caught out here, as Ezreal and Malphite are going to rotate down bottom. Ezreal ultimate is not up, so they can't stop a recall, and they realize this, so just Ezreal will be going down to the bottom lane. Abyssal Scepter picked up by Dianna. So she's going to be doing absolutely massive amounts of damage, and there's not going to be anyone really hurting her. She has a ton of armor and magic resistance at this point, plus that really nice shield. So she's going to be perfectly safe when she jumps in there. Looks like Malphite is going for a Sunfire Cape, though he's going to get it very late. Rumble picking up Leandry's. I think he'll go for Rylai's next, though he hasn't actually picked up any components of anything. Volibear going for a bit more health. He's picked up the Giant's Belt. Phantom Dancer finished up on Caitlyn, likely going to be picking up that Quicksilver Sash or a Banshee's Veil next. Both would be very viable options, as there's a lot of attack speed slows coming out of CLG. And I think a Quicksilver Sash, just to remove the initial ones for the fight, will be perfect for her. Ezreal has picked up the Phage and is getting very close to that Sheen, which will give him enough damage in these team fights to be effective. Orianna getting very close to that death cap, and those next set of items, that's CLG's window to really go in there and make something happen, because they're going to have to soon, as Dignitas is getting more farm around the map than they are. And it's really just a ticking time bomb for Dignitas, as Dianna is here showing herself, one to be engaged on, but here comes Volibear, as Dianna does jump in there for a good bit of damage. Volibear not able to get the fling off. Ezreal taking a lot of damage, as Link takes a lot from Caitlyn. And Ezreal is going to go down here thanks to a nice jump in there by Elise. Scarra finishing him off with Dianna. Dianna really dominating this map, as we do see Nasus taken down by the group up there of Dignitas. Malphite going the opposite direction and just looking for a place to teleport back home. And there is just nothing CLG can do. They're getting absolutely dominated in those fights. Malphite using his teleport for the first time to teleport back to base. but it's not going to be of any real use, as Ezreal's still down for a few seconds, and that will be the first inhibitor of the game taken by Dignitas. They're up 12,000 gold, up 12 kills, up 6 towers, soon to be 7, possibly 8, if they choose to do so. As there is just nothing stopping him this game. This is an absolute dominating game by Dignitas. Caitlyn might get caught out here, but instead she just backs away, not getting the phage proc. Dragon will be taken here by Dignitas. They're going to just play it fairly slow, and I like this decision. Looks like Caitlyn is in a bit of trouble as Malphite does get up there and is able to land the shard. But with Dianna here, he doesn't want to engage. And his team was just not close enough. And it looks like they might have to try a desperation Baron, but they will be spotted out thanks to a Caitlyn trap. And at this point, they just need to go for it. If they're going to go for it, they need to. And Aphromoo gets chunked down a bit by Baron. Not the best thing to happen before an engagement, as he lost a lot of health from those 2 hits. And it looks like we are going to have Volibear rotating around, trying to get onto Ezreal. He is going for that lock of the Iron Solari, and it looks like Ezreal's in a lot of trouble. He is going to be able to Arcane Shift away, but Volibear's just going to continue to run. Though he does back up, and Caitlyn is going to be able to finish this tower off, but no, she is forced back. Though able to land a very nice Peacemaker for massive damage onto basically the entire CLG team. And CLG is grouping up as 5, doing what they have to do, but I don't think they can win as win a 5v5 fight at this point. Patoy has decided to pick up that Oracle's Elixir, so he will be able to actually secure Baron if they want to actually do him. I'm not sure Baron would be the best choice here for Dignitas. They just need to group up and take a fight. They're strong enough that it doesn't really matter. CLG would have to really get lucky to win a fight at this point. They're down 13,000 gold, and it's only getting worse. They had their opportunities in the mid game, but they just have not put it all together. And yeah, that's just what it's coming down to. Looks like we are going to have Dignitas going for Baron at this point. They have enough damage to take it down very quickly. Deathcap is now finished up on Rumble. Instead of going for a tankier build, which we see most Rumbles go for, he's going pure damage. And just using that bit of extra health from Landry's to massive effect. Caitlyn takes down the 7th tower of the game. And it is now a 15,000 gold lead in favor of Dignitas. Caitlyn leading the way with 10,000 gold. Right behind her is Dianna sitting at just under 10,000. And everyone else on Dignitas with massive gold lead. It's really objectives at this point. That's the big thing. There's 7 towers, 3 to 4 dragons, a Baron. That's really where the lead comes from. As the CS is fairly similar with the exception of Malphite and Rumble, who Rumble is up about 50 CS. Every other lane was even in CS. The kills have mattered a good bit, but it's really been the objectives that have snowballed this big lead. And it looks like we are going to have Caitlyn picking up the red buff. Dignitas just looking to find a pick out. They're playing this really slow. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to possibly lose the game off of an absolutely terrible fight. Dianna is going to be finishing off her Nasus Tooth very soon. I think as soon as she finishes that off, that'll be Dignitas' chance to really go at it. Even though I'm not sure they're actually going to wait for that at this point. Super Minions are flowing into the base of CLG, as it looks like we are going to see a 5-man push down bottom by Dignitas. This tower very low and could go down in about 2 shots from Caitlyn. She has finished off the last Whisper, as the Caitlyn ultimate does fly, taking out Malphite's shield and a bit more. Malphite with a beautiful ultimate, hits 3. Ezreal ultimate flies across, beautiful ultimate by Orianna, but that is Scarra going down first. Nasus is going down after that. Volibear continues just to run through the enemy lines, not going down, as Caitlyn is able to take down this inhibitor. 1-for-1 exchange, but CLG does not having anything left after that beautiful combination. And that's what they wanted to have happen earlier, but they just don't have the damage to actually complete the combo and finish people off. It was a beautiful ultimate by Malphite hitting 3. beautiful Orianna ultimate hitting 4. But it didn't matter, as Dignitas is too tanky at this point. Nice stun there by Elise, and that will be a dead Malphite. This Elise doing real work this game. Just landing those max range stuns as Caitlyn almost takes down Ezreal with just auto attacks under the tower. But with Malphite down, it's going to be Dignitas taking this middle inhibitor. Or just going to continue on the bottom turret, taking down 9 turrets. As it looks like Nasus takes another massive chunk of damage. As he's taken almost out before the fight begins. That headshot almost finishing him off. If Elise had gotten a few steps closer, he would have actually jumped on her. And Caitlyn's going to finish off this tower. And this should be a good game in a few moments, as the last inhibitor will fall. And we will have massive number of super minions flowing throughout the base. And I'm not sure what CLG can do to actually clear them quick enough, as Ezreal doesn't have the damage to do so. He's gone with a bit more of a tanky build, as he has gone for Trinity Force. Malphite is spotted up top thanks to a ward and landing on a Caitlyn trap. Dignitas likely to back up, pick up their final set of items, and then go for the death blow, getting all the objectives around the map. And they could even wait for the next dragon or baron, but I don't think they're going to. As you do see Volibear picking up a second Giant's belt in real dominating fashion. He's just way too tanky to actually be killed at this point. Dianna is about the only one that CLG could really kill at this point, outside of Caitlyn. But even then, you're wasting a lot of effort to kill Dianna. She's fairly tanky at this point in time. Ezreal will be able to finish off his Trinity Force, though. A very nice item, and it will allow him to actually clear these waves, as that additional attack speed and crit means a lot. And it looks like we are going to have Malphite sitting off to the side, doing a bit of a jig, as Dignitas will be pushing. Looks like headshot does fly out there, chunking Nasus down about 20% of his health. Volibear getting a little greedy as he runs through. Malphite ultimate just on Caitlyn, as we do see Lulu ultimate up on a Nasus, but he will go down. Big damage out of Caitlyn and Scarra, as we do see another turn going down. Hotshot getting taken out just by the auto attacks of everyone. This will be Dignitas absolutely steamrolling this game, and a really big win by them. CLG just not getting anything going this game. Excellent showing by Dignitas, and they really capitalized on CLG's mistakes. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.